Hello, everybody. This is CJ Wiley with more adventures on the road. I've been doing some videos about the deep level of connection, calibration, how to create consistency by doing the same things over and over, taking out unnecessary moving parts so that you can efficiently and effectively play your best game all the time. Now, I've had some questions recently about position play. So, as I said before, if you get yourself in the best position visually and your perception is correct starting out, like I've described in the last couple of videos, you're also going to be connecting to the shot the best you possibly can by facing it and plugging your chest into that line, so to speak. You just want to get that feeling of connection, of connecting the cue ball to the object ball one of two ways, center to center or center to edge, before you create the angle so that your mind can triangulate the angle so it has a baseline to go by. And that's going to make a big difference. Just keep practicing it. Within the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to see what I mean. You'll start clicking. Now, the position part of pool and developing cue ball control is another thing that you need a baseline for. So the baseline that I use in my position play is a stop shot. So that would be like 0 on a scale to, let's say, plus 10 and minus 10. Plus 10 being following the ball 10 units, minus 10 drawing the ball 10 units. But my baseline is the stop shot. I can stop the ball from any distance on the pool table, and you need to be able to as well. You should be able to stop the ball from 8 feet away as easy as you can, 5 feet away. Now, you're going to have to cue the ball lower to stop the ball, and it is more difficult the farther it gets away. When the balls are close together, like just a few inches, you don't really have to cue it low at all. Just slightly below center, even a center ball hit, if you accelerate, will just stop the ball in its tracks. So the stop shot is what you need to be able to do at will. So then, to expand your cue ball control off that stop shot, you should set up different distances. Let's say you're 3 feet away from the object ball. I want you to be able to stop the ball in its place, then get down on the shot in your stop shot position, and with your right hand, if you're a right-handed player, lift the cue up like a lever to make the tip go down. So when the hand goes up, the right hand goes up, the tip will go down. So just allow it to go down maybe a half a tip or whatever measurement you want to call it, and then hit your stop shot again, and it should draw back a distance, and I think you need to know how to draw the ball back 1 foot if you need to. Then go ahead and get down in the stop shot position, push the hand down, the right hand down to make the tip go up, hit the stop shot again, and force follow it like a foot. Just see where it goes. See what your baseline is naturally. Then go down to the stop shot position, go down lower, hit it, and make it come back even farther. Then get down and push your right hand down, make the tip go up, and force follow it like 2 feet this time. And do it until you can do 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, and just get a real feel for coming off the center of that ball, like with a stop shot. Keeping your bridge hand consistent, where if your cue was exactly level, it would be right in the middle of the cue ball. And then use your right hand to control the tip and where it's precisely contacting the cue ball. So you're controlling the tip with your right hand. Now, one thing that a lot of people have trouble with that I've been asked about in the past is they say they get straight in on too many shots. So they say they'll be, running the rack really well, and then they'll go down and get exactly straight in on a ball, and it keeps them from running the rack. This is usually 9 ball, even though it comes up in 8 ball too, especially on the the ball before the 8 is what people have the most trouble with. So what I told them to do is to practice getting straight in on every shot, because you can't not do something unless you first can do something. And you have a baseline to go by, a reference. So if you can get straight in on a lot of shots, then you will have the skill level to be able to go a little bit different route to make sure that you do keep an angle. So practice getting straight in on every shot if that's giving you problems. The same thing with getting on the rail. I've talked to some champion players, and they say, especially under a lot of pressure, as the match is getting closer, one of their main objectives is to stay away from the rails. And if you don't know how to freeze on the rail, you're not going to have as good enough a good enough reference to be able to get off the rail every time. So it's a good idea to practice 20 or 30 minutes trying to freeze every shot to the rail. Just put out all 15 balls on the table, shoot them in any order, but just try to make every shot and freeze the cue ball to a rail. Once you have a good touch for freezing to the rail, then you'll also develop the skills to be able to stay away from the rail or go into the rail and come out a safe distance so that you'll have an easy bridge and shot coming up. Now, playing 8-ball is a little bit different as far as the position play goes. When I'm playing 9-ball, I'm usually trying to go extra rails. Like, instead of going 1 rail to come up for the shot, I will go 2. Instead of going 2, if I can, I'll go 3. And that's something Buddy Hall told me a long time ago. 1 is better than none, 2 is better than 1, and 3 is better than 2. Because going that extra rail allows you to create zones and come in towards the next shot so that your angle and margin of error is larger than going across the line. Whereas if you were going 1 rail, a lot of times you have to go across the line of position. And if you go too far or not far enough, you'll get into what we call the 50-yard line, the dreaded 50-yard line, where you generally have a hard time making it in the side pocket or the corner pocket because there's a scratch involved or the cut's too thin. So you want to stay away from your 1 railers within reason. You know, you just got to use your best discernment. But if you watch the champion players, I did commentary between Skylar Woodward and Chang, the champion from China, and it was just amazing how many times those guys went 2 rails for position. It was like time after time after time. So, especially on a big table. On a bar table, you know, things change slightly. Now, playing 8-ball, I have a different strategy about running out. Most people think that we're playing, 3 shots ahead, at least 2 shots ahead, and we're playing perfect position and angle on 1 ball to get to the next ball, to get to the next ball. So basically 1 shot at a time and coming up with these great run out patterns that we can do. When I say we, I'm talking about top level players. Now, what you'll find when you play that style is you're going to have a lot of problems on the ball before the 8-ball and the 8-ball. You'll just continually run out of options as you get closer to the 8-ball, and that's when you're going to mess up the most. So if you're going to get more options at the beginning, at the end of the rack where the 8-ball is, then you must create more options and choices at the beginning of the rack. So especially my first 2 or 3 shots, I'm trying to play shape on at least 2 or preferably 3 balls at the same time, especially when I'm opening a rack and it's a tough looking rack because there's balls tied up. I'll play position on 3 balls at the same time. And it's amazing when I do that, a lot of times I'll be able to see a way to run the rack that I didn't before, because if you play shape on 3 different balls, you're going to have many, many options. And as I run out the rack, I am constantly trying to play shape on at least 2 balls at the same time, every time I possibly can. So then when I'm breaking balls out, which you definitely want to do at the beginning of a rack, if at all possible, then you really get a feel and understanding at the deep level for the key balls. And the key ball is like when you're making a breakout, if you were to shoot from the position of the cluster that you're breaking out, 2 or 3 balls, what ball could you shoot of yours from that very spot? That's your key ball, because it's very risky to go in and break out balls if you don't have one of these key balls that you can play shape on. In case one of the balls you broke out, you can't play to a certain pocket, which, you know, that's unusual or unlikely a lot of times when you're breaking balls out, that you get a shot on one of those balls. So always play 2 or 3 balls, not ahead, but at the same time. And then your pattern ability will start increasing, but in a different way. Instead of playing shape on 1 ball at a time, you're going to play shape on 2 or 3. It's going to open up some things that you may not have noticed or thought of before. And if you play shape on 3 balls at the same time and failed to do it very well on your first shot, that's when you need to look at playing shape on a safety, so that you can start blocking the pockets, get your balls in between your opponent balls and especially the corner balls, or the corner pockets, excuse me. So it becomes a more defensive game. I don't have time to get into the defensive aspects, but I will at some point. It's just very important to at least try what I'm saying for an hour or two, and just play shape on 2 or 3 balls at the same time every single time, and just see what happens. I think you'll like it. And if you want to know more about my drills and how to increase your abilities to be consistent through advanced techniques and systems, join me at www.cjwiley.com. And I've got a lot of different, over 16 hours of instructional videos. And I'm going to continue these deep level pros perspective videos as well. So anyway, till next time, this is CJ Wiley, almost to Jekyll Island in Georgia. You know anything about that? I bet you do. Later.